Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Simon and Garfunkel have the song The Boxer, and this is man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. And to a large degree, I think there's a little bit of that taking place here. Without debating all of these issues, I would like to put in the record a number of articles and position papers by Andy McCarthy and a group of other lawyers that really go to the part of a lot of the answers that you've actually made. The difference of the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed beheaded Daniel Pearl, mastermind for the 9/11, 3,000 people. Miss Sally was in Alexandria for 4 years, and there was not the Patent and Trademark Office, there was not the hotel, and so the circumstances are different. Secondly, the cost for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in New York, if he were there for 3 years, the figures that we've gotten from New York City and also the briefing, reimbursement of $206 million a year for the City of New York Police Department. We've also gotten the briefing of the Marshal Service for the airplane they were going to buy and the cars, rounding out to about $1 billion to try him there. So a little bit of a different kind of thoughts about it. The second thing is that there are major differences, and the administration and my good friend the chairman talked about the process. To release 6 people back to Yemen when you were mortaring Yemen at that very moment to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula was really a bad idea. We're getting reports that one of them may have gone back. Also, the administration released 2 to Somaliland, and I've been to Somalia, there's no government there. And so to put 2 people back into Somalia and back into al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, the government of Yemen controls basically the capital of Yemen and not much outside. So we spoke to the White House without mentioning names. One day they said, we're pushing ahead. And 2 days later, when this thing blew up, they said, we're gonna stop it. But there were some problems, and I had a problem, and I don't want to take too much time of it. You were going to release several Guantanamo Bay people, the Uyghurs, into our congressional area, whether it be in my district or adjoining, and your people came up to me, and at this time last year asked me at a hearing, please don't ask Attorney General Holder that question. And out of respect, because I thought there would be some consultation that you were going to, I didn't ask the question because I don't think it's appropriate for members to sort of do a gotcha type of thing. We never asked that, and then we got calls from several people in the administration at a low level saying they're coming to Northern Virginia, and here's who's coming, and here's what. So there's been a pretty strong difference on a lot of these issues. And so I'll just put a number of things in the record without us debating it. But I do want the record to show it. In 1942, in the midst of World War II, German saboteurs arrested in New York and Florida were arrested by the FBI, but transferred to military custody for trial. Franklin Roosevelt rightly treated these agents of their enemy as war criminals and not common civilian criminals. And we are at war. You said that earlier. And I think if you talk to most of the family members, not every family member, but if you talk to most of them, and you talk to a lot of people, they believe that this trial ought to be in a military court. Now, when will you be making a decision on the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed issue, wherever you're going to make the decision? When do you expect that to come out?
I think that we are weeks away from making that determination. I don't think we're talking about months. I think we're probably weeks away. Okay.
On the difference between civilian and military, the Pentagon, as you know very well, is a military. It's the center of the heartbeat of the military system in the United States, and there were military people killed. So you could have used the same argument with regard to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to be tried in a military as you did on the other one, because there were people wearing the American uniform, and it was the Pentagon where most of our military generals and all are. So the other thing is, I sent a letter, and we just have a hard time getting answers from the administration. There are going to be differences of opinion, and I think respectful. If you ask me, if you call me, I'll try to get you anything I can. You ask me a question, and if I don't have it, I'm going to get you the answer. And if I can't tell you, I'm going to give you a date when I tell you. And I say publicly, call me, just call, and I'll try to cooperate in every way possible. But we can never get any kind of cooperation. From the Uyghur issue, we were not able to get a cooperation. We got a letter from your department at 11 o'clock last night. There was nobody in my office at 11 o'clock last night. That's sort of a gotcha way to sort of clean the decks before you come up here, and it's not a very good way. I'd sent a letter back in January asking the administration to bring back the 9/11 Commission. Lee Hamilton had expressed it. I was the author of the Iraq Study Group. We asked Secretary Baker and Congressman Hamilton to come. They did a great job. They did the 9/11. I can't get an answer. Will the administration bring back the 9/11 Commission to take a look at where we are today, what recommendations were adopted, what ones were not adopted, and what ones were not adopted by the Congress that should have been adopted, and then go away after 6 months? But I've had that request in since January 12th, and I just can't get any response. Do you have any thought? Will the administration bring back the 9/11 Commission per my request? And I think Lee Hamilton wants that to happen, too.
Well, I'm not familiar with what the decision might be by the president, but I think one of the things that strikes me is that the 9/11 Commission did a great job. Exhaustive hearings with a specific set of recommendations. I think that almost any objective observer can look at that report, compare those recommendations to where the past administration was, where this administration is, and make a determination.
Correctly, though, but they have the expertise, and I called Congressman Hamilton, and he thought it would be a good idea to come back for 6 months, not the whole 9/11 Commission, but he and the governor of New Jersey to come back and look and see, because they have the historical history of what they said, what was adopted and what not. I think that would make the country safer. I think it would be a good thing. So I guess the answer is you're not sure if they're going to bring it back.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure. From my own perspective.
Okay, I'm just trying to get an answer, if I can't get an answer. Secondly, we asked that they put together a Team B made up of Bruce Hoffman and a group of outstanding people, bipartisan, outside of government, to sort of look at the same circumstances to sort of see where we are, that what we're doing today to fight terrorism is everything that we should be doing. The request was bring back Bruce Hoffman, headed up Team B. I can't get an answer. Do you know what? Is there any interest in the administration in responding to bringing back a Team B approach?
I have to tell you that, again, we have good people, experienced people who have dedicated their lives to doing the very things that they're doing in very responsible positions in the National Security Council, in our armed forces, and I have great faith in the decision-making that they make. And I'm not sure that outsiders are necessarily needed.
Well, a lot of people think it would be a pretty good idea. I guess so. Thirdly, I asked that the administration have the TSA administrator be a set term similar to the director of the FBI. We've had 5 and 6 years. Any thought about them doing anything with regard to that?
Well, one thing I would certainly call on is for the Senate to confirm a TSA administrator before we start talking about even limiting the terms.
Well, you can certainly confirm this gentleman for the set term, but we've had 5 in the last 6 years, and to bring a continuity, I think Director Mueller's done a pretty good job, and that's been a pretty good system. And so, any thought of doing that?
Again, that's not something that I've had any conversations with with people in the administration.
Lastly, I've asked that the HIG, the High Value Interrogation Team, be located not where they've gone to put them away from the Counterterrorism Center, but to be located at the Counterterrorism Center. And I know that comes under you to a certain degree. What's the thought of the recommendation I've made for that? The letter's been 2.5 months there asking that HIG be co-located at the Counterterrorism Center. So you have the breaking down of the stovepipes. They're all together. What about that?
Well, I mean, the HIG is to be housed at the FBI, and
no, the HIG is not at the FBI. The HIG is out in Virginia. They've signed a lease at a building not near the FBI. I know where the building is. I've asked that the co-location of the HIG be with the Counterterrorism Center, directly there with the Counterterrorism Center, so that there's exchange of information. That's the whole purpose of the center, to break down the barriers so FBI, CIA are talking to one another. Since this you're responsible, what about the recommendation I made as you co-locate the HIG at the Counterterrorism Center?
Well, I think the question is not necessarily physical proximity as much as it is having communication between the HIG and the variety of governmental entities that it needs to be in touch with.
Okay. But it is physical proximity. That's the whole purpose of the counterterrorism center. That's why the walls were broken down and they put everybody together. That was the whole purpose of it. That's right. Anyway, okay.
But the Hague, by its nature, draws together people from different agencies, co-locates them, gets them ready to go out there.
And that's what the counterterrorism center does. And that's why they're there. Anyway, the answer to that is probably not.